Alright, so in this video we're checking out the DarwinFPV CineApe20. This is a 2-inch Cinewhoop, and it looks very familiar and similar to the BetaFPV Pavo20. I'll talk about that here shortly. But before we get into the video, I do want to mention that this was sent to me by Bangood, and they did ask me to mention their Spring Trendy Festival sale. I'll link the sale stuff down in the video description to all the different promotions that are going on. All the details will be in those links, but just want to mention that because they did send this for review and they wanted me to at least mention that in this video. So I want to go ahead and do that. This came without the 04 Pro in here. This is, I guess, technically plug and play, not really bind and fly. And my box came with this is a 3D printed camera mount here, and for the air unit and the camera. So this is 3D printed. Came with this one for the 04 Pro. Also came with the one for the 04 Lite. And I'm assuming, and I'm not 100% sure on this one, that they're going to come with both of them. The listing on the Bangood site still shows that you'll be getting the one for the 03, and I'm told that they're not selling that anymore, or at least these don't come with that. So they haven't updated the webpage yet. They should do that shortly, so maybe by the time you're watching this video, they'll update that, and this is pretty much basically old information, obsolete information. So if you're wondering if you're going to get both, I think you are, but I'm not 100% sure. I know for sure it says in the listing that it will be for the 04 Pro. So if you want to get the one for the 04 Lite, you may have to contact DarwinFPV in case you get it without it. Now, I did not get this from DarwinFPV. They're another one of these companies that have pretty much ghosted me. They don't respond to any of my emails anymore, and I don't know why. So I tried to get information from Bangood, and they weren't able to get information from DarwinFPV. So their company is pretty poor in communicating with their reviewers and with their vendors in general. So leave it at that. Yeah, I'm not going to go into too much information detail on all that stuff. But for the rest of the stuff that comes in the package, you get some spare screws, and you get some, I guess there's antenna holders for the antennas here, and some, I think this is some foam that goes around the ducts, and some additional spare screws, and you get some zip ties, and you get a sheet of stickers. So here is what it looks like. Very close to looking like the Pavo20. In fact, there are a number of third-party, I guess, or individually made 3D printed camera mounts for the 04 Pro for the Pavo20. This looks really similar to that. And there's no rubber grommets here. There's just a self-tapping screw that goes through the plate. I'm not sure if it's going to show up here. You can see it right there, and it goes right into the TPU part that holds the 04 Air Unit Pro. And you can see there's some M2 screws that go into the top there to hold it into place, and then you route your antennas out the back here like so. And then this is the Express LRS antenna. It was buried inside the frame, and I pulled it out, so it routed through here. It does not come like this from the factory. And the camera's just mounted here. You have your angle adjustment there. And surprisingly, without any soft mounting of the top camera mount, this whole thing here, it's remarkably Jello free. You guys can look at the footage. I'll link the 4K high bitrate footage in a separate video down in the video description. The link will be down in the video description. You can watch it and examine it very clearly. But as far as I can tell, there's not much Jello, or very little. Nothing that I could really point out as, oh, that's clearly Jello. So it seems like this camera mount, however generic it looks, kind of not without too much soft mounting, it seems to isolate the vibrations enough where there's no Jello in the 04 Pro. Now granted, the 04 Pro does not suffer from Jello as much as the 04 Lite, so take that into account. And I did not test the other canopy with the 04 Lite because this, again, Does not have any soft mounting. It looks like, yeah, it just screws into these two spots here in the front, and yeah, it's directly mounted to the frame. So I am expecting that if you use this canopy for the O4 Lite on this frame, you're probably going to get Jello, because in my experience with pretty much everything else that I've tested, if you don't have any kind of soft mounting, you do get Jello, and it's just more prone to it. So if you're, I know I'm going to get that question, if you're wondering if I tested this on the O4 Lite and if I got Jello or not, I did not test it, but I'm fairly certain that I would say with about 80 to 90% confidence that if you do use this setup with the O4 Lite, you're probably going to have some amount of Jello, because the tune on here is not perfect. You still get some vibrations I can feel in flight, although you don't see it in the 4K footage. So yeah, take it for what it is. Now, if you don't believe me, post some footage, of if you bought this and you got the O4 Lite canopy and you don't have any Jello, by all means, let me know in the comments, and I will, forward that on so that other people can at least know that some people were able to get this with the O4 Lite and did not get any Jello. But I'm fairly confident, with about 80 to 90% confidence, that if you do have the O4 Lite on this one, you're probably going to get Jello. And you can see here that this mount here, this for the O4 Pro, has the GPS built into it, and it doesn't look like you can transfer it over to the O4 Lite canopy, so you'll probably end up losing that. The flight controller in here is the same one that they've been using for years. I'm not going to pull it out here, but if you've seen any of my previous DarwinFPV videos, it's the same. I think it's 1 to 3S or 2 to 3S, 15 amp ESCs, and it has a built-in Express LRS SPI receiver, and it is updated to the latest version. I think it's like Express LRS version 3.x, but it's the exact same board that they've used in all of their micros going back about 2 to 3 years. Hasn't changed. I think they made some revisions over the years, some updates, but it's essentially the exact same flight controller. So if you want to know more details about the flight controller, by all means, go watch some of my older videos. You'll see what those are like. The pit tune, obviously, and this one is a little bit different. They modified it for this configuration. But yeah, essentially it's the same board. You can't do 4S in this one. I get that question all the time. If the manufacturer says it's 2 to 3S, I would trust that it's 2 to 3S. If you don't believe it, you're more than welcome to plug it into a 4S or 6S battery and see if you get magic smoke or not. Pretty sure you will. But yeah, I get that question all the time. If it says 2 to 3S, then I would believe it. It's 2 to 3S. And if you want to test it, prove me wrong by all means. It's your money. Blow it up if you want. But anyway, yeah, that board has the same old micro USB port here on the bottom. You got a little battery pad here, and then you got this battery strap here. They have new motors that I don't think I've seen before. They've used 1103 motors before on their, I think with the Baby Ape 2.0 or 3. I think it's a 3-inch quad micro. These are, I think, updated. They have like a shiny bell now instead of a matte bell, but it's an 1103 motor. I think it's 10,000 kV, and they have the Gem Van 3-bladed 2-inch prop here. Prop guards are obviously new for this model. Haven't seen this anywhere else, and they got a carbon fiber plate on the bottom here. And that's pretty much it in terms of all the specs, and obviously got an XD30 connector in the back here. I think inside here is the capacitor, but it's kind of buried underneath this plastic. Alright, so here's what it weighs. No battery. It is coming in at a little over, it's 101 grams on the nose. I flew it mainly with this 3S550. They recommend a 3S500. I get a roughly 4.5 to 5 minutes of flight time on this one, and obviously your flight time will vary depending on how aggressively you fly. You can get more if you fly less aggressively than me, and less if you fly more aggressively. And with the 550 Lava 3S, it's 143.8. I also did try this 1100 3S. And this one's pretty old, so this is several years old, so the performance is not spectacular on this one. It's 166 grams on the nose. With this one here, this is at least a 4-year-old battery, and I did not You get amazing flight times on this one here. It is much heavier, of course, as you can see, about 20 some grams heavier. It does affect the performance. You can't really do much acro with it. You will be able to eke out another maybe couple of minutes, so 6.5 to 7 minutes is, I would say, probably safe if you have a newer version of this one. This one's pretty old, so I only got like 6 minutes of flight time on this one. Obviously, you're carrying around more weight, but this one's a really old battery. It's like 4 years old. So if you have a newer, they still sell this one. If you have a new battery, you're likely to get a little bit more flight time. These are a little bit worn down, and the capacity is a little bit less now because I think I've put these through several hundred cycles already. So as I said earlier, this has come with a nice pit tune. Seems fine. It's a little bit on the loose side. So I think they did that because they were afraid that if the PIDs were cranked up a little bit too high, you get more vibrations and then you'll get more jello in the footage. And that was on the 3S550. On the larger battery, it did feel a little bit, I guess, I wouldn't necessarily call it more locked in, but less loose. It's because it's heavier, so it doesn't really drift around as much. So that weight does help with the PID tune, but my feeling is based on what I'm seeing in flight and the feel. The PID tune is sort of dialed back so that you don't get. There's less of a chance of getting vibrations coming through from overcranked props or motors, and so if you don't like the PID tune and you're not getting jello, but then you crank up the PIDs so that it feels more locked in, and you get more vibrations, especially in more aggressive maneuvers, you may see more jello in the footage. So just something to keep in mind, but I flew it completely stock. Obviously, if you make modifications, switch to PID tune, then different things will happen. And it's hard to predict what that'll be, but you can always experiment and see what happens. My feeling is that if you do crank up the PIDs on this one, you will get jello in the 4K footage on the 04 Pro. And overall, I think that the performance is fairly similar to the Pavo 20. If you're looking for something a little bit bigger with 2.2-inch props, there is the Pavo 20 Pro, which does the 2.2-inch props, and I believe that can go up to 4, if I'm not mistaken. But, at the end of the day, it's a Cinewhoop. You ain't going to be doing 5-inch freestyle type tricks with this. You can do a little bit of, freestyle, some flips and rolls and stuff like that, but it's primarily a cruiser. And, you're flying in like proximity and trying to get like nice smooth 4K footage, and I would go with the 04 Pro, of course, for the best footage. But again, as I said, if you go with the 04 Lite, I think you're going to get jello with that canopy without doing some additional modifications to soft mount it. I'm not saying that's not possible. It certainly is possible that you could soft mount it and then build it so that it won't have jello. But I don't know exactly how to do that at this point. I haven't really experimented with that, so that's something that you'll have to do on your own. But anyway, that's kind of covered for this video. I'll have links to the 4K footage down in the video description. I'll have links to the Bangood sale down in the video description as well. And of course, the link to this if you want to check it out. And even though it says it's right now, at least as of today, the recording of this video says it's the 03 version. I am told with Bangood that you will get the 04 version as you see here, and not the 03 version. But if you're not really confident in what I'm saying here, please contact Bangood and you can ask them what's going on with their website, because I think they're a little bit behind schedule in updating their website. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Talk to you guys in the next one.